Are they getting the vaccine? And there's a lack of trust in terms of the vaccine for minority communities because of experiments that have been performed in minority communities. So there's a lot going on, with this idea. There's a lot of parallels. So blood plasma in short supply, our needs being low on the wartime priority list, our needs being the needs of the Japanese in the prison camps. And so as a result, somebody miscarried, hemorrhaged, and died. So that kind of thing continues to happen today. If a hospital just doesn't have the resources, we have these tragedies that are occurring. How many pharmacies where they might be able to distribute from if you're far away from a hospital are there within the city? You have to take the time to go to the hospital where they can have that storage. These kinds of things, I mean, it's stunning, the problems that we're facing. Let's see here. 108. Yeah, page 108. This detachment that's occurring between Jean and her parents. And she's talking about the baby, her nephew. She began to talk excitedly, jabbering the details. It's that first big paragraph on the page on 108. As the news sunk in, my fear was replaced by an odd detachment. And so this idea of feeling detached from your parents. How many of you feel detached from your parents? Okay, well, wow. How many people at home? How many of you feel detached from your parents? Yeah. Why? What's going on? We love you. We do. You don't think so? Wow. We do. It may not seem like it. No? You disagree? Well, I mean, parents love their children. We do. Well, so let me propose to you that the conflict that you're feeling, keep in mind that's not about you. Okay? Do keep that in mind. Any conflict that you might be feeling with your parents, that's not about you. That's about the parent. Well, and you just need to be coming to school. I know. Well, and you're here. Okay. Well, okay. Let me tell you then, somebody loves you. Okay? What? Well, I do. Why? You're my kids. Why not? What? Not yet. Not yet. I've got tremendous hope for you. Well, you'll do something. You'll contribute in some way to someone. Yeah, but you're a friend of Sam's, right? Since when? So that's how you're contributing to society. Well, being a friend to somebody who, being mutual friends, right? Well, that's how you build up a better world. Do you get fired up about stuff? Sam, you get fired up about stuff. Well, sure. Okay. You don't get fired up about anything? No? Okay. Yes. What? Well, but that's a thing. That's your thing for right now. You want her to have a better experience than perhaps you had. Is that fair to say? Well, but so you want her to have a better experience than she's having. And that's same thing I want for you. I want you to have a better experience than the one that you're currently having. I want you to have a better experience than the one that I had. Not that I had a terrible experience either. Yeah, of course it is. There are these great moments. There are such wonderful moments. Well, maybe not today. Yeah, that's fine. That's that's an okay thing because of the distance from one's parents, the feeling detached from our parents. What's that, Parker? No, that's okay too. So when I was in high school, I felt detached from my dad. I did not feel detached from my mom. But now I no longer feel detached from my dad, but I feel detached from my mom. I think my mom is bonkers. I think she's totally out of her mind, and she doesn't pay attention to things, and so on and so forth. Yeah, I guess. I guess. And I know that like one of my kids probably has a favorite parent. But I mean, it's just. But my wife and I are a team. No, no, no. It's true. I don't have a favorite child. But think about Jean's family 10 brothers and sisters. Do you think her parents have a favorite child? Why? And who do you think the child is? Do you think it's Jean? Oh, you think it prefers the sons? Well, she is the baby. Mm. Okay. All right. All right. Okay. Take a look at page 114. So there are just these moments that I'm kind of marking for myself. What's that? Well, don't make why? Don't be sad. Keep in mind, you do have a support system. No, and what am I? I'm here. Reach out. Okay. All right. Maybe I need to like I don't know start making one-on-one appointments with all of you. Get so folks at home, are you are you still with us at all? This is crazy. This is making me sad. All right. Page 114. This decision, the realization the government cannot detain loyal citizens against their will. The government can't detain anybody unless they've been charged with a crime. And the Japanese citizens had not been charged with a crime. Okay. Page 115. Think about this fear. 3 years of wartime propaganda, racist headlines. I think we did talk about these, didn't we? Wasn't that where I showed you guys the poster? Did we look at the poster in here? Yeah, I thought so. Thank you, Zane. The Fright Mask posters. Page, let's see here, 118. Did we get up to there? Oh, so here, 118 and 119. And this sets us up for some other thematic ideas that we're going to be encountering. In the middle of page 118, in the middle of that first full paragraph, she says, call it the foretaste of being hated. I knew ahead of time that if someone looked at me with hate, I would have to allow it, to swallow it, because something in me, something about me, deserved it. At 10, I saw that coming, like a judge's sentence, and I would have stayed inside the camp forever rather than step outside and face such a moment. What in the world could she possibly deserve? How could she deserve that? How does anyone deserve to be hated? How does anyone feel like they deserve to be hated?
She doesn't deserve it.
No, she doesn't. Absolutely not.
I feel like if you really do necessarily deserve to be hated,
Most of the people who deserve to be hated are jerks, right? Yeah. And those people are oblivious. Okay. All right. Good. Good. Page 119. In the government's eyes, talking about her papa, in the government's eyes, a free man now he sat. Like those black slaves you hear about, who, when they got word of their freedom at the end of the Civil War, just did not know where else to go or what else to do, and ended up back on the plantation, rooted there out of habit or lethargy or fear. And we see that kind of thing happening too when people are released from prison. Anybody who's released from prison. There are some people who will commit a crime again so that they can be deliberately sent back to prison. Yeah. So Zane has written in the chat, if people keep telling you that you are less or show it, you start to believe that they might be right. It's tragic, and it is tragic. These ideas, this is how systemic racism works. The racism of a system. It's ultimately, really why a lot of people were upset at the start of the summer. I was stunned after George Floyd was killed, and the fact that the superintendent had not come out with any kind of statement about how the school district was going to proceed, about how the school district was responding. There was nothing. And so a group of alumni students from this high school got together and composed a statement of protest. And it was only when students got involved that, that the superintendent made a statement. You have the power to change things. Believe it or not, you have the power to change things. Maybe not as an individual. They did get together as a group, but that's how it starts. Talk to your friends. That's how these things happen. That's how changes can come, even somebody your age. I was kind of surprised that it didn't come from anybody who was actively going to school. It was an alumni group. Take a look at page 127. That idea, very, very last sentence, maybe 2,000 people waiting their turn and hoping it wouldn't come. And think about, why would they want to stay? Why is it that they would want to stay? Think about how afraid they must be to want to stay. All right. So, does anybody have any specific questions that you want? Yeah.
Well, then where did they didn't have anything else?
That's right. Yeah. Well, the unknown.
They didn't have anything to go to. Like their house, most of them have like start and they have a better
Or they thought they were going to have a better life.
probably good if they have this having
Right. So there is that fear. What's going to happen? What's going to happen when we leave this? Is anybody anxious about what happens after you graduate high school? So, that's a fear, and it's a legit one to have. That's okay. I want to take a look at an interview with the author. She may give some spoilers. I haven't watched the whole thing, but I want to take a look at that. Okay. So let me share that with you. How do I want to do this? That's going to be tricky. Probably move that. That'll work. I don't want to record all different sorts of things here. All right. And I've been totally mispronouncing. So go ahead and folks at home, go ahead and turn your cameras off to mitigate any sound problems that we might run into. And I will do the same. Hopefully this will work. All right.
My name is Jeannie Wilcox Peterson, and I'm the author of Film Manzanar. With my husband, David. Sarah Manzanar is actually a memoir of the story of my life and my family's life during the Second World War when we lived in a, well, some people call it concentration camp or internment camp, or individuals of Japanese descent during the Second World War. And so I wrote the book with my husband, and actually it was quite a while after the war was over. It was at least 25 years. And it came really out of nowhere, so to speak. And I could tell a story about how the book came about. Is that feel right? Okay. This was in 1981, and I mean, excuse me, 1973, and my nephew, who had been born in camp, and for those of you who read the book, there's a chapter there. Like, goes in the hospital on Christmas Day.
We just read that.
50 days I was born. So that baby grew up, and he was at Berkeley at the University of California. And he came by one day, and he said to me, Auntie, born in a place called Manzanar. And for the first time, outside of our family, I heard the word Manzanar. And I'm wondering, nobody talks about it. What can you tell me about it? And so I just kind of laughed and said, oh, really? Don't you ask your parents? And he said, yes, but we don't talk about it. I said, well, that's odd. I'd be happy to tell you. So I began telling him about camp, about the drugstore, the lousy food, the games we played, the fire breaks at school, and my nephew just happened to look at me, and this is a kid out of the 50s, and he said, Auntie, you're talking about being in prison like it was nothing. I mean, how did you feel about that? And I stopped because this is the first time anybody had ever asked me how I felt. And I allowed myself to feel. And I just burst into tears. And I became hysterical. My poor nephew, who just asked his dad a simple question, didn't know what he'd done to do this. And I was very upset. I was upset. And I said, oh, I'm so sorry. I said, I don't know what's happening. But since I can't seem to be talking about it, I'll write the story for the family. I'll write it for you. So I began going down to the beach, meeting the family tree, down to the beach, and started writing out, in a journal. I had majored in journalism. I wanted to be a writer. I thought I could write. So I started writing in this journal. But I found that every time I thought about it, I would cry. I would burst into tears. And I was so emotionally overwrought that I finally turned to Jim, my husband, who was teaching creative writing at UC San Francisco. And I said, what? I was having trouble with this memoir I'm trying to write. He said, what memoir? And at that time, Jim and I had been married for 15 years, 14, 15 years. And I had never told him about Elsa. He knew some cool camp in my background, but in those days, the internment and what had happened to them. No one talked about it. So I realized I had never told him. And so for the first time, I was emotionally honest with him and began to tell him what had happened and how I really felt about it, why I couldn't seem to put it down. And he was so stunned. And he said, oh my God, this isn't something for you to write for just your family. This is something every American reads that you know should be. That's how he said, Jim. And it took us about a year of interviewing. He interviewed me and talked to other members of the family. And we went to the library, checked the book, and that took us about a year. And finally, we were able to get it down, into the book. And he gave it to Fulton Mifflin at San Francisco Book Company when they were here. Ernest Scott loved it, and I want to publish it. And that's how Carol for it. But it came about in a very odd way, in terms it had to be remembered and almost experienced again. We went down to camp, to the mountains. I had never been there. I hadn't heard it back then, but to see where all these memories came from. We had to research so many other books, talk to other interviews, those who would talk about it, and that's the book is for. And I felt that both of us felt, Jim and I felt, that we wanted to write a story that was about family. And it wasn't going to be a, what is the word? We didn't want it to be a harsh book about being a victim or about, of course, about the humiliation, but no book out there already telling the story from a personal point of view. Oh, this is happening to a family. What happened to a young girl experiencing this? And so that was our motivation and how we worked on it at that time. And we're, today, I mean, I know that, it's still being read even more. I went to Missouri, to the whole state of Missouri a few years ago. If the state had chosen it as a read, and I went to Missouri for about a week and went to all these little libraries all over the state. They were just lovely people, and they were just so shocked. They didn't realize there were two of the camps right there next to them in Arkansas. And so, I felt, and I feel today, that it's an important story because it tells a story about America. One, two ways. One, first, what happened, that for the first time in the history of our country, all three branches of the government violated the Constitution. It rounded up a group of people because of their race, because they might potentially be racist, rounded them up and imprisoned them, in these camps for from 1 to 3 years. And no one knew about it. So this was a great violation of democratic values in this country. Great violation. And so that is why several years later, when children of the attorneys went on the march, this was when the civil rights movement happened, and they wanted to rectify this not only for their parents, their grandparents, for Japanese Americans, but for all people, so that this could not ever happen again. That without due process, without the even without a court hearing, but just because of your race, that they could gather you together and take you, so say you lose all your home, you lose all your valuables, your car, your job, your life, and still be there. Simply because you look like the enemy. And interestingly enough, I don't know if I'm getting to speak about this, but while we were in camp, this was a great issue about loyalty. And we had signed loyalty oaths, etc. There were huge, fights about that. But the fact of the matter is that many young men fought for this country and lost their lives because they had to prove that we were loyal. But that said, about what happened in camp and about writing about it, the fact remains today, and this is the positive of it, that the book was published, it was made into a film. My husband and I traveled all throughout Southeast Asia and Asia, giving talks about this, to the government, Philippines, all these places, and it was just so educating to see how people reacted to the story. And if I can tell you about an experience that we had in the Philippines, and this was at the University of the Philippines, was a class there, and they came to film, and we were talking about the book. And so somebody raised their hand and said, yeah, that's all well and good about this film that you have done and you have shown. But what did the real Americans think about it? Of course, they where she was coming from was white America. And so, just like, I don't know what gave me the insight to do. Like, you know what, I'm looking around in this room. You look Chinese, you look Spanish, you look like a native person. Which one of you is the real Filipino? And they got it. You see, and that, so that's one of the things I want to say is that even though this happened to us by the government, with a huge mistake being done, it was rectified. And they felt strong enough to send Jim and I to other countries to show this film and also to read the book. But that's something that, in terms of our democracy that we have here, that I think we should cherish. You know, the fact that I could be on this program now and tell you about something that happened to our family that was, you know, illegal and was so un-American and wrong in terms of American democracy and values, but yet it was rectified. You see, and then here I am talking about it. And this is something I think that we must look at and now why is it different? And yeah, because constantly America is a country of immigrants. So we have new people coming in all the time with cultural, other cultural values, and they look different languages and so forth. So what is it that binds us together as a country? You know, I liken ourselves to a tapestry. And we have all these threads going through the different colors, different textures, and so forth. But what is the force that holds us together? And that is what makes us American, and that is the belief in the Constitution of the United States, the belief in democracy, the belief in the identity, of being an American. So maybe that's the big question. What is an American? And maybe people have different ideas of what American is, but I do feel that in my own case, that I'm an American of Japanese descent, and that I cherish the cultural values that I have, born down from my father and my grandparents, who I never met, who were in Japan, and I have, I've inherited some of those values of that, and they've kind of mixed with these other values that we have, created all the time by other ethnic communities. And by the basic one, which was English, European.
All right, gang. I think I gotta stop it there, unfortunately. And there's only like a minute left, but we only have less than a minute left of class. Tuesday and Thursday of next week, make sure that when you come in, well, actually all week, make sure that your Chromebook is charged before you come in. Okay? Have a good weekend. Stay safe, especially if you're on driving on Saturday or Sunday. Oh, you'll be good.
I don't know. He said he'll deduct the letter grade, so it's a little low. I've been forced to work every day.
Thank you too. Not until probably B. We've got lunch. All right.